I mean, I think that says a lot in itself right there. You know, Lou and I were the longest running double play combination in the history of baseball. Anytime you do something and you're in the history books in Major League Baseball, you know, you're proud of that, and as both of us are. And you know, the opportunity was there. We were both very young, and you know, never say never, but it's something that probably won't be done a whole lot if it's done at all.
You know, as a shortstop and a second baseman, you people got to know each other's instincts. How much of a person like that you have off the field? I mean,
well, we did, and just to kind of take you back, that you know, when I met Lou Whitaker in 1976, I was drafted out of high school. Lou was drafted the year before, but in 1976 he played for Jim Leyland in Lakeland, and he was the Florida State MVP. 10 days later or a week later, we went to instructional ball in St. Petersburg, Florida, and they moved him to second base. So he was the MVP of the Florida State League, and just a short period of time later, they moved him. That's when we started together. So going back to what you're saying about the timing and all, that's so key. We were able to work together on a daily basis, and basically the same age, so we had a lot of things in common. We roomed together our only year really in the minor leagues, and then the first 4 years in the major leagues. So we roomed together for 5 years. So not only did we, you know, eat together, go to the ballpark together, we talked baseball together. So I think you get what I'm trying to say is that the timing and just the communication is probably as important as anything.
Talk to me a little bit about Sparky Anderson, the late Sparky Anderson.
Well, I'm not sure where to start, and I mean I could sit here and talk for a long time. Our mentor, Lou, Kirk Gibson, Jack Morris, Lance Parrish, all the guys that came up in that era, we learned from one of the best. I'm going to say I might be a little biased, but the best, but arguably one of the best managers of all times. Not only taught us how to play the game of baseball, but you know, taught us how to be professionals on and off the field. So I was deeply saddened by his passing last November, but his legacy will continue with Kirk Gibson and I here with the Arizona Diamondbacks.
And talk to me about a little bit about the late Mark the Bird Fidrich. But what do you remember about him? And
well, just a fun-loving guy. That what you saw on the field was him. I mean, that was not he wasn't being phony. That was himself. He was talking to the baseball. He was basically talking to himself, trying to motivate himself to be the best he could be. I only played with Mark for just a short period of time. In his great year, '76, I was drafted. I was in the minor leagues. So, but I got up there quickly. I got a chance to play with him. I got a chance to meet him, and he was always the same type of person that if you came over, he'd cook us a meal. I mean, that's how down to earth he was. I'm saddened, you know, that he wasn't able to pitch longer, because for a short period of time, you know, he was at the top of the game.
Does Dontrelle Willis remind you a little bit of Mark the Bird Fidrich? I mean,
well, I don't know Dontrelle nearly as well as I should to be able to make a comment. Just looking at his antics on the mound, and you know, a fun-loving guy who's basically talking to himself, trying to motivate himself. I'd say that there's comparisons there, but you know, I don't know exactly what else to go from there. But you know, I know Dontrelle's had some issues with you know, with the control issues, and I hope that he gets it because he's fun to watch.
Lastly, is it safe to say we're never going to have another up the middle 19-year-old?
Well, I'll tell you what, never say never, but it's highly unlikely. When you talk about Davey Lopes and Bill Russell with the Dodgers playing 9 years together, it really was 8 years plus, and Joe Morgan and David Concepcion, it was like 6 or 7. You know, Roberto Alomar, Momar Vizquel, about half as long. So to play together 19 years and the way the game has changed to a certain degree with the free agency, I'm not going to say never, but it's highly unlikely.
How was it working with Lou Piniella last year?
Well, that was I really appreciated the opportunity of working with Lou Piniella. Obviously a very good manager, was a very good player in his own right. But the 4 years I was there in Chicago, I learned an awful lot, and will continue to, as I continue with my baseball career from the coaching standpoint, was something that I'll never forget. And you know, It was very enjoyable, the 4 years in Chicago with Lou.
He was happy he had you around.
Well, you know what? I appreciate that very much. You know, we all felt as a coaching staff we did the best we could. But again, Lou Piniella, you know, his name, you know, it's kind of ironic that I play with Lou Whitaker and then I coach for Lou Piniella, and both of them are known as Sweet Lou. So good memories.
Lastly, Alan, how come right now the teams don't take infield and outfield like back in the day when they would come in? And
that's a good question. I can't answer that. I just know people. First question they ask you is when did it stop? And I think it goes back to the late '80s or early '90s. And it's not to say that, especially the infielders, they do a lot of throwing across the diamond. We felt it was kind of a warm-up, you know, prior to the game, and also it helps the outfielders and the catchers who don't really get to throw to the bases. But as far as the infielders are go during BP, we do make a lot of throws over there. But to be honest, to answer your question, I don't know what happened to it.
Thank you for your time and courtesy.
All right, my pleasure. Thank you.